Thursday at 5 p.m. for Likkle Byte Ideas, where we discuss how Likkle ideas are transformed into big dreams. On the toolkit, and you will access a lot of resources. A lot of the information that we presented here today, there are a lot of activity sheets. So we encourage you to download some of that information. Also, there's a digital swag bag with Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. It's November 13th. It's been a minute. We missed you guys so much, but we really hope that you have been getting our newsletter and staying in touch, making great financial decisions. We promise that we're going to be more frequent, but life happens, and we're extremely delighted to be here today. Let me get my co-host in here, Megan Samuel Fields.
Well, hello, Dorit, and hello to our audience.
Yeah, I was saying it's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
You know, thank God we have our newsletter that we can still stay in touch, and we really hope that everyone, all of our fabulous guests have been getting our newsletter. If you have not, this would be a good time to send us an email at info@samuelfieldsconsulting.com. We'd love to add you to our mailing list so that we can stay in touch. And of course, Likkle Byte Ideas is back. We are a show where we talk about people who have little ideas and transform them into big dreams. So we are delighted today. It's November. You know, we're always looking for an excuse to celebrate something somehow.
Always.
I don't know how we do it. November is... That's another conversation. So November is known as National Role Models Month. And we had a really great series about 3 years ago where every week we had a different role model. Can you believe it's been 3 years?
Oh, it's crazy.
We had Heather Durham, we had Richie Richardson, we had Grandma Miri.
We had Scorpion as well.
And then we had Barry Edwards, Scorpion.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of his business again?
Beach Limers.
Yeah, that was 3 years ago.
Wow.
And I don't think we really celebrated National Role Model Month since then. But talking about cricket, I was just looking for a segue. We have a really, really dynamic guest today. Today, again, November 13th, is World Kindness Day. And so World Kindness Day is celebrated all over the world. It's a day where people really stop and focus on kindness and what that means. And so we love celebrating holidays like that because it's a way to really look at finances a little differently. So today we have someone who actually sits at the intersection of a role model conversation and also kindness. We are delighted to welcome celebrity chef Kareem Roberts. He is in the UK.
Now, first of all, guys, thank you very much for having me here. But I got to clarify, I am not a celebrity, guys. Not yet. But I don't know why people define me as that. Me the most regular somebody y'all can find.
Well, hey, claim it.
Super regular. I'm claiming other things.
We know you're going to blow up so big. We just want to give you some practice, all right?
I hear you. I'm there with you. I'm there spiritually. I'm there emotionally. I'm there ambitionally. I'm there with you. I just don't want people to think like I have celebrity money. Well, I'm nothing for nobody, yo. I got a few jokes and advice.
Okay, the money is coming. He is a celebrity in training.
Nothing gonna ever change. Nothing's ever gonna change, guys. Nothing's ever gonna change.
That's wonderful. But listen, it's nice to stay humble, but this young man was born with greatness in him. I'm speaking now, Kareem, okay? He was born with greatness in him. He is the product of two phenomenal people. Everyone knows Andy Roberts, our first Antigua and Barbuda's first test cricket player. Is that his moniker? And,
Absolutely.
and I mean, we grew up listening to, just being so proud and being a part of his journey, following him on the radio. It wasn't even TV back then.
Oh, no. Transistor.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then his mom was an entrepreneur, Janet
Yes, indeed.
Martin, and she had that phenomenal store, Island Woman, down at Redcliffe Key for many years. I got to know her later in life and considered her a friend, and we had some good talks and some good chats. She was always very nice to my children. And so, Kareem, you had no choice. You were born, with the focus of your dad and the effervescence of your mother. We definitely, the first time I spoke to you, I was like, this is Janet's son. So we want to talk today. So we see you as someone who grew up in the limelight with two parents who were in the spotlight to some degree. And so kindness and having that public facing type of positioning, I think was pretty much a part of your upbringing. We understand that a little bit. Our story is different to yours, but we kind of understand what that can look like. Our dad was a legendary politician, so we know what it is to be kind of like just pushed into the spotlight, whether you like it or not, sink or swim. But Kareem, tell us a bit about, we want to hear about your childhood journey. Growing up in Antigua, Andy Roberts' son, what was that like?
Well, you see, the short answer is, there was a lot of pressure because everyone expected me to live up to my dad's reputation. And
well, let me ask that. Did you ever play cricket?
How could I? Even if I tried, everything would do. And you got to understand, for full context, I was born, I like food before I like cricket, so I was a chubby kid, Oh my gosh, my first love was food.
Wow.
My first love was food. So of course I would gravitate more towards that. And the father that I knew was a fisherman. So like, and I remember him taking me down into the village where my grandmother would live, Erlands, because that's where I grew up. And when I'd go to Granny house, Granny always had food. My grandmother was a phenomenal cook.
Oh wow!
From what I understand, no disrespect, because I know I'm coming from you guys can relate to having a phenomenal grandmother. But my grandmother, they said, made some of the sweetest rice pudding in Antigua.
Oh wow!
And funny enough, right? And I'll be honest with you. See, let this full disclosure here. I'm not hurting no feelings when I say, my mom and my grandmother did not necessarily get along. You know what I'm saying? Wow. Because my grandmother did not like the fact that my mom would cook rice for my dad all the time. Me personally, I eat rice every day. So I'm like, nothing wrong with that. But whatever, she thought dad should eat like more grown provisions and stew this and that and little cassava, yam, edo, them things. Meanwhile, my mom liked rice and chicken. And to be honest with you, I'm 95% rice and chicken. Either which way, I grew up exposed to food first. Like my first language of communication was food.
That's very interesting.
So yes. There's stories about one of the things they said, like, they fed me, they had to get me off of milk very quickly because when they would feed me the milk as a kid, I would still cry. And one of my aunts would say, that milk not do nothing for that boy there. You gotta give this boy formula. Give the boy porridge, And they were like, he's 2 weeks old. And they was like, give the boy some porridge. And they gave me the porridge and I slept. You know what I'm saying? At a very young age. So I always had a strong affinity with food.
That's
first and foremost. Yeah, man. And one of the things my mom said about my grandmother was, she could say a lot of things about my grandmother, but one thing she couldn't say is that she couldn't cook. And she said, my grandmother made the sweetest soup ever. The best soups on earth. And me, funny enough, as I mature as an adult, these are still things that I gravitate back towards. I still cook the things that I like. And soup
Nice.
holds a resonance with me because I see no difference between a soup, a sauce, a puree, other than viscosity. So rudimentary, I still cook the things. And once graduated from milk into something a little thicker, I think we're a product of the things that we are exposed to at the youngest age. 100%. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. There's a reason that you like things. It's quite likely that if you do the research and you have enough access to information about you in your childhood, the things you probably liked in your first couple of years, you still like as an adult.
Yep.
Wow, that is very,
Maybe.
very interesting.
Yes.
Very, very interesting. So your dad, there was no pressure from your dad to go on the cricket field and
Never. Funny enough, right? One thing my
That's
mom
very
told me, because my dad never told me this. My mom was the one who told me this, that my dad never wanted us to play cricket.
I guess because
Yeah.
maybe he knows the
probably knows the
challenges.
pressures, that he went
and the
through.
pressure.
Exactly. And I think maybe he had the clairvoyance to know, like, it would never be fair for me. Because even if I was very good,
interesting.
even if I was very good, I would never be good enough, would I? And how would that weigh on me emotionally as someone who wants to be excellent? And I remember reading a quote in a book. I don't even have the book here. It's a book that my mom, right here. My mom bought me this book. Funny we talk about my mom. When I was a young boy, my mom bought me this book from Benji's in 1988, right? Yo, I got books on me. Yo. And this is my mom's handwriting, yo, from 1988, right? I got books around me. 5,000 gems of wit and wisdom. And I'll never forget reading a quote in that book, right? Yo, I couldn't have had that prepared, right? And right next to the book, my grandma here, it's almost like I'm ready. So I'm armed with information and knowledge. However, one of the quotes in that book that I read as a young man was, one of the worst things that can happen to an ordinary man is to have an extraordinary father.
Wow.
And that struck me, that struck me as a kid. And I'm like, God damn, this is so true. Because it was tough. It was tough.
I can imagine. I wasn't prepared for all of this, Kareem. I really, I did. This is deep stuff.
And we can identify, Dorit, because
we can identify.
Our father wasn't as popular as your father, but there were certain expectations because he was a politician, and because there were certain expectations of him.
A teacher.
And a teacher.
So he came from a very academic background, so we had no choice.
There were expectations of us, which made it tough at times.
Okay, but you got to look at it this way. Having that, right, that pedigree and that genetic chromosome that lends you more favorably to excel, which the sad reality is that not everyone possesses that gene in them. Not everyone possesses that instinct to excel, to do better, to not become complacent. Because mediocrity, and I don't think you guys consider yourselves to be mediocre people, do you? Be honest. We're having an honest conversation. Not at all, right?
Not at all.
And this is not to come across as arrogance, because the problem is that when you have these conversations with people who are really mediocre, they're offended.
Yes.
Because it comes across as, yes, you see how you say that with strength? No, it's not arrogance, it's ambition.
I totally get it. I mean, I said to you before we got started, you were born with greatness in you.
Yeah, but it's tough to find that in you, to live up to it, because being born with it doesn't mean you will accomplish it.
Right. And
it took me a lot of failure. It took me a lot of failure. And
it's usually something you discover after the fact. You don't know. Look, it's a conversation you have having grown up in the spotlight. But when you're going through it, it can be tough. You don't know that's greatness. You just think too much. Why are people pressuring me? Why all this attention? I want to be a regular person.
And sometimes you reject it. You reject that on you, because one of the things that I experienced was I was a college dropout, and this failure in me weighed down on me for quite some time, man. Because I went to school and I was studying something, that old school thing where you gotta be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. Which, having said that, big up all the doctors, lawyers, and engineers out there, right? But for some reason, I just didn't lend myself to that discipline.
What did you study?
I studied chemical engineering because I liked chemistry. Now, having said that, I'm still very much a chemist. I mix things all the time, acids, bases, salts, but I didn't understand the diversity of and applications of chemistry. And back then, we didn't have access to enough information to make that decision fairly. It would be different now. And one of the things our parents were not equipped with the tools to fairly assess our strengths and weaknesses and point us in the right direction.
Correct.
I don't blame them, I'm just aware of the fact that it wasn't necessarily my fault.
Mm-hmm.
You have to forgive yourself. And one of the things that because that failure, because I did consider myself a failure for not completing university. That bothered me significantly. That messed my head up. I'm like, yo, because after that, I'm like, yo, I had a shot here and I messed it up. What am I gonna do now? So I wandered aimlessly for a couple of years, worked in an online gaming casino, which was cool, but it wasn't me. I didn't apply myself to that at all. I had no passion for it. But I did always have a passion for cooking. I've been cooking since I was 6 or 7 years old, man. I would always cook. I was always watching food videos, food TV. Like that was always drawn to me. No one ever had to ask me to cook. And when you talk about kindness, I was willing to cook for any and anyone. Back then I couldn't cook. I thought I could. I was naive. I had no idea exactly how underprepared I was. And that blew up in my face a couple of times. Oh man, I remember some friends actually said, yo, look here, we're roasting a pig beachside, yo, and they was like looking for somebody to cook the pig. And I'm like, yo, bring the pig, I can do this. I can roast this pig on the ground. And they're like, yo, you sure? I'm like, yo, look at me, son, of course I can. Yo, that pig roast for like 12 hours and still raw. And I was embarrassed. I was so embarrassed, right? But I was ambitious and I can't blame myself for actually wanting to complete that task. And I felt bad. This is the thing. So I always wanted to cook for people to show them like, yo, look, I'll do it. I wanted to feed. I wanted to feel useful. Not just useful. I had that desire to always be good at something.
And
I really wanted to be. I always wanted to be good at something.
Yeah. And somehow kindness and cooking just always one of those default things. And you think of kindness. Kindness and cooking just seem to always go hand in hand when we have celebrations, whether they be joyous celebrations, a baby being born, somebody getting married, or if it's death or some other not so pleasant situation. The default comfort for most of us somehow just seems to be food. That always, I think the Caribbean more so. It's there's always a reason to cook and make a great meal and and share it with family and so this is great. But Kareem, tell us a bit about it's good that we got a background on what it feels like to be Andy Roberts' son. I mean, Viv's son at least went the cricket route. So that's very interesting that you that was never on your path.
No.
And your dad was the first. He had a lot of hurdles to overcome. So he probably, was scarred somehow from some of it. And
want that for his children.
He just probably said, listen, there's an easier way. I mean, go be an engineer.
Yeah, but when you say an easier way, right? So I like to tell people when they ask me why I didn't cook. And one of the reasons I didn't play cricket was when I would try, I'd play with the hard ball, right? And I tried, and if you've ever been hit with that ball, it hurts. And the sun hot, yo. So I found cricket to be dangerous. And as fate would have it, I would prefer and I feel much more comfortable working around knives and fire. You know what I'm saying? That's less dangerous for me and the intensity, but it's still an intense. I look at it like, to be a good cook, you have to be very focused, organized. You have to be efficient. There's not much room for error. There's no line. Deadlines come quickly. And that's just to be a good cook, to work in a system, right? To actually lead and to drive that system forward. You have to be much more than a good cook. You have to be a coordinator. You have to have logistics expertise. You have to have control. You have to have managerial skills. You have to have nowadays we are aware of the fact that you have to be so emotionally intelligent that most of us are not prepared for that, because who teaches that? Fortunately, I learned that from my mom. My mom was very emotionally intelligent. That was one thing. So I was always empathic. I always understood what people would think, how people would feel. And the funny thing is, you grow up to understanding. And one of the things my mom taught me going back, right? My mom always told me one thing as a kid. You're no different from anyone. My mom and my dad always drove that into me. You are no different from anyone. But one thing my mom drove into me was to tell me, watch it, right? And she told me this from since I was probably 4. She told me when I was 5. She told me when I was 8. She told me when I was 18. People are going to dislike you in life. Most of the times it's because they're jealous. I didn't understand that or why, and I wanted to be liked. But as long as I was prepared for the fact that not everybody gonna like you, and it's not your fault.
Mm-hmm.
As a manager and a leader in a team environment, I have two missions. One, to get the job done. That's first and foremost. Somewhere down the road, because after my job comes first, and second is my personal development. Yeah. I do hold that high. If we're being very honest here, I hold that above the well-being of my team members. Just because in order to lead, I have to be strong. And I can't lead if there's nowhere to lead, if there's no kingdom. I can't be a king with no kingdom.
Right.
So I have to look after the business. The problem is that you get these junior chefs who don't understand this. So if I'm tough on them, they're like, oh, he gives me a hard time. And I'm like, I don't want to give you a hard time, but we have a job to do, and it's a difficult job. And then there's a time sometimes, like, like, for example, if I'm not in the kitchen, they think when I leave the kitchen, because I get in first, I leave early sometimes, but I don't go home to sleep. I go home to read. I have to develop myself, and I'm not learning on the job site. I go home to learn. I showed you all these books around me. I put my money into these books. Nobody gave me these books. Right. Nobody's telling me to read these books. I have to find the time to develop myself. Yes. That comes, even above the job, because sometimes I wonder if my work life is keeping me away from developing into the chef that I can be. I can be so much better if I just had the time to improve. That improvement comes at a cost. And that's what maturity taught me. And this is where I'm telling you, there's a different side of me that no one taught me. No one told me, oh, you have to put all this extra time into being good. No, it's just something in me. If there's access to information that I can use and leverage to improve 1%, one every day, I'm going to use it.
So hold that thought, Kareem. Hold that.
Yes.
What I hear you saying is, although you're a chef, and you consider yourself to be a creative person, more like your mom, to be an exceptional chef, you're reaching back for some of the discipline, some of the drive, some of the focus that your father, some of the traits that your father had to rely on to be our first test cricketer.
1,000%, and he never taught me this.
Wow. But you saw it. He may not have.
You know what I saw? I didn't see that. What I did see, and more importantly than that, and this is where I'm not sure whether it's not nature versus nurture, because my dad did not instill these values in me. Neither did my mom. However, there's something in me that just tells me, bro, regular ain't gonna do it. Like, it's just this loud voice that resonates, especially, and I'm attracted to excellence. All these books around me, right?
Not one of them. Roberts, right there. That's Andrew.
Not one of them books. Not one of them books here written by somebody that average. None of them. I don't buy books written by regular folks,
But as you were speaking, you know what vision I had? I saw cricket in the kitchen, where
boom. That's beautiful.
About how
I love that. Cricket in the kitchen.
In the kitchen. Yeah, that is all wicked,
Wow, that is wicked.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't see you. I know you say you didn't play cricket and all of that, but when I heard you speak about making sure that things are organized, you get there early, you plan out your day and all of that, all of those things, it's not just cricket, but
competitive, athletic. It's athletic competition.
Yeah. To be a step ahead. You always have to know what your competition is doing, so you can be a step ahead. So, he didn't teach you, but it's there. And then your mother with the emotional intelligence, I think that's awesome. So whether they sat down and actually taught it to you, or if it was the environment that you were in, I do think I can see those two role models coming out of you.
Oh, yeah, that's a powerful, powerful intersection. Yeah. But Kareem, while we're at it, and I really enjoy hearing about your career and, how things kind of came together, let us talk about how kindness falls into this. How do you build a legacy of kindness? You have to stay a step ahead. You mentioned that your employees sometimes don't get it. They think maybe you're too intense, maybe you're tough on them. They think you're going home to relax, not realizing that you're going home to get into your home lab, right? To test a few things, okay? And I like cricket. I like cricket in the kitchen because it's all about those test matches. For you,
Oh,
every
wow.
day it's a test.
Yeah, wow.
You know,
Didn't think of that.
and the googlies are coming. Leg before wicket. Everything is coming
The
at you.
bouncers.
The bouncers.
I will tell you, right, and I'll put it this way. And I think what it is, I never looked at it as cricket in the kitchen, but I did always consider myself I had to be athletic because it's about training. And I found this one chef
But
who
you
I
have
was
an
working with.
mind.
I do. That discipline, but it's also not just an athletic mind, because what I realized as I got older is that to become excellent, their common denominators are dispersed amongst excellence in every division and practice, every denomination. 100%. The same kind of approach I have to this is probably the same kind of approach a surgeon has to their craft. It's the same kind of approach maybe a lawyer of excellent pedigree, a Queen's Counsel has, like, what I'm talking, a master violinist. These guys have that same attitude, that same ferocity. They study, they're students of the game, and they're internally motivated. They don't need to be motivated by the whip. That whip is inside their heart, inside their flesh. Nobody's forcing them, they're forcing themselves. You don't have to tell me to do my job. You don't have to tell, my job is clearly laid out in front of me. Be better. If you had to ask me to define my primary objective, it's very simple. Be a better cook. I don't even consider myself a chef because what does that even mean? I want to be the best cook on earth. I don't want to be the best chef. The best chef means it's too vague. It's thin, it's veiled. There's a lot that goes into that.
Passion. It doesn't reflect your passion necessarily.
No, my passion is definitely to cook. That's what I want to do. Like I see it every day.
Passion is to cook, not necessarily to have the title of being a chef.
I don't care about that title. And as a cook, it's a game that I want to win. Like, it's a definitive goal to be a better cook than you. And this is where people tell me they don't understand. But when people ask me if I'm a good cook, if I'm speaking to someone, I'll say, yeah, I'll cook for you and show you. If I'm speaking to a chef, I'm like, why, you trying to have a little competition or something? Because I'm ready. We can do this right now. I'm very competitive. Yep. If we have a restaurant, and I don't want to be average, I want to be better than you if you do the same thing as me. Make no mistake about me. And when I'm surrounded by someone who's better than me, because I've been in the room with chefs better than me, it excites me. I'm drawn to them. I observe them. I look for weaknesses in them that I can say, okay, I need to do that better than you.
No, this is definitely cricket in the kitchen.
Yo, I look for weaknesses in my opposition, and I try to make sure that I can either expose that or I can enhance that ability in myself so that it can let them feel uncertain and uneasy when they see me performing a task that they're not good at. It's psychological as well. It's competitive, man. You can't be regular as a chef and do well. Because I'll tell you something, right? You know how many chefs, to retire as a chef, that's a grim story. That's a grim story. Not a lot of chefs get to retire.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to cook in the future because I need to. I want to cook because I enjoy it.
Right. But Kareem,
there's such a difference.
We're going to take a break. Megan, do we have any questions? We're at a halfway point. When we come back.
Whoa.
When we come back, we're going to talk more about some of the, steps. If you're trying to build a legacy of kindness, which I think you are, Kareem, some of the steps that you definitely have to focus on. I think you touched on one already, leading by example. We're also going to talk about communication. You touched on that as well. We're going to talk about how do you implement kindness as a core value of your business and your career. We're also going to talk about, being transparent and ethical, and then fostering long-term thinking. And I'm telling you, Kareem, if you haven't thought about it already, you are such a deep thinker and a dynamic speaker. You should really look to see how you can do maybe some TED Talks.
Yeah.
I think, this is I did not expect this discussion, but I think what you've taken a lot of the skills and traits and things that you probably, your lived experiences, you haven't taken the route that people may have expected you to take in terms of cricket and being an athlete, but you have definitely brought a lot of that energy, a lot of the traits that make for a great athlete, and that striving for excellence. I see that a lot in how you are positioning yourself in the kitchen, and I say to you, give some thought to how you could be a powerful speaker in terms of a keynote speaker, talking to people across any discipline in terms of how you go after greatness, how you channel greatness, and how you strive for excellence. So, Megan,
Thank you, Dorit.
do we have any?
We just have one comment.
Okay.
And that's from Althea Dyer. She says, Althea is watching. Good day, all. Hi, Althea. Good to
Well, go on, Althea.
Is Grandma Miri on?
She hasn't left a comment. I don't know if she's on.
I should send her a note because she definitely wanted to make sure that she had the time, the link. I hope she didn't take a long afternoon nap.
Well, you know how that goes.
Tell her boy's on. I'll send her a note.
She's of age. She's of age.
She certainly is. I'm going to send her a note.
Yeah.
Yeah. Megan, why don't we take a break and just show some of the pictures from what Grandma Miri did today, and we'll come back to our discussion.
All right. So today, as we mentioned earlier, today is World Kindness Day. And Grandma Miri, everybody knows Grandma Miri, she went to the Charlesworth T. Samuel School, and she taught the children how to make, it looks like a sugar cake.
Yeah, sugar cakes, yeah.
So we're just going to share a few of the pictures of Grandma Miri at the Charlesworth T. Samuel School. So this is a young man stirring the pot, and Grandma Miri is watching and making sure he's doing it right. And before the stirring, it's the preparation of the ingredients. And here's a young student grating the coconut.
She taught them how to break the coconut, then grate it.
Yep, got to do that.
And then the stirring, and then the spooning.
And the spooning. So here she is spooning it out with, I think that's a teacher as well.
I think it's Lucille.
Oh, right, it is.
One of her former students.
Former students, okay. And then we have the happy children with Grandma Miri.
That's the look of a grandma's treat.
Oh, yes.
If I got a sugar cake at school and I didn't have to pay for it, that's exactly the expression I would have on my face.
On one foot, too. And you know what? Here we have a nice picture of Grandma Miri and the handsome Kareem.
Oh, yeah.
In England when she did her legacy tour, and she was on stage with Kareem and Chef,
Levi Roots. Big up Levi Roots.
Yeah.
And I know that went down very, very well. Very well. Yep, that's what we have.
Fantastic. Something tells me that Grandma Miri is taking a nap. I tried calling her, and she didn't answer. And that's unheard of.
Well, she had a busy day today.
Yeah, she did. So hopefully I know she'll be very upset if she misses this show. So hopefully she'll join us before we sign off.
That's hope.
Yep. So, folks, we've been having such a great and a deep discussion with Kareem Roberts. This is one of the things I like about this show. We pick topics, we come up with small ideas, and invariably we end up with some very, very deep discussions, discoveries, even bigger ideas.
Yep.
Our guests walk away lots of times, having come here to talk about one small thing, walking away with a plethora of ideas and new programs and projects and initiatives that they can go after. So, Kareem, let's focus a bit on kindness, because like I said, it's World Kindness Day. And I believe that, knowing both of your parents, and I know both of them very well, I was telling Kareem that I I believe your dad was being inducted into the Cricket Hall of Fame in Hartford, Connecticut. It was in 2005. I distinctly remember. Um, and I went and spent the entire weekend in Connecticut. I live in New Jersey because it was just too much of a commute. And so attended we had a cocktail reception, attended his induction ceremony, and then I had to take him to several cricket matches throughout the tri-state area um, on the Sunday. Yeah, 2 matches, I think. And it was so, talking about role models and the whole celebrity appeal, people lost their minds. I guess people hadn't heard the name Andy Roberts or seen him in so long. We took him to a field in Linden, New Jersey, where there are a lot of Indians playing cricket. These people lost their minds. They wanted an autograph, right? I was just driving him around. Okay, they wanted my autograph too. Listen, these people just, because they're all congregated around him, right? So I'm trying to at least, make sure that he's okay. When they realize, wait a minute, she is a part of, she's with him. Oh no, they came to me. They wanted. I said, I'm not a cricket. They said, no, you're from Antigua. We want your signature too. So that your dad and I had a big chuckle. That was so hilarious. So it was really great getting to spend quality time with him because it was about a 3-hour drive round trip, and it was just a great way to really get to spend time with an icon. So I really cherished that time that I had to spend with him, and he shared with me a lot about his journey and what it was like being Antigua's first test cricketer. But let's go back to the issue of kindness. So like I said, because I know both parents, I know them to be very kind, very giving individuals, and I can see a lot of that being manifested in you and your mannerisms. But let's talk a bit about how, in terms of building a legacy of kindness as a chef, the whole aspect of leadership. We touched on it earlier, but let's talk about it a bit more. How do you kind of toggle between being an effective leader, but at the same time demonstrating kindness to your employees, your customers, and even your competitors?
Okay, well, that's a interesting question. Let's take that in parts. Towards my colleagues, the first thing is, no matter what you ask me, my default answer is yes. So no, seriously, seriously, especially if you're coming to me with a request for a day off, holiday, or something, I'll tell all my chefs, listen, guys, I'll always tell you yes. I don't know how we're going to make it happen, but the answer is yes. Okay. So I want to give them that. I'm very accessible and approachable. And also as a leader nowadays, you have to realize I can't just be so rigid. I actually have to be a bit more than just a line supervisor, which is essentially what you are as a leader, especially if you're left with the responsibility of someone's business. You're a supervisor, you're a caretaker, and that means that I also have to be partially a therapist. I have to be a brother, I have to be a father figure, I have to be a teacher, I have to be a lot of things. I have to wear a lot of hats. And sometimes I also do have to be a disciplinarian. As a disciplinarian, I don't want to have to make sure, I don't want to discipline you unless you are learning. So when you talk about the greatest act of kindness that I can give to my colleagues, it's education. I can teach them. There's nothing more valuable than someone walking away from an interaction with more knowledge than they came into that interaction with. That is how I measure any interaction. And I make sure that that is ultimately, even if someone can say, oh, he was tough on me, they can't say they didn't learn from me. And that takes a long time for them to appreciate. Maybe in the moment, they're too close to it. They're a bit emotionally frustrated or agitated. But in the long term, I would hope that once that emotional connotation dissipates away from that negative energy, you will still be left with that lesson. That's what I want you to take from it. So sometimes kindness is not the gratification, the expiration date on kindness is not immediate. It's sometimes long term.
So
Now,
true.
when you talk about to my diners and customers and patrons and friends, so one of the things that I said in where I took on this position at the Burley Arms is because I had a restaurant that I was leading that closed, unfortunately, and a lot of restaurants closed. Nothing that I could have done, but one of the things I learned a lot from that restaurant closing and why it closed, it wasn't just because of the cost of living crisis and everything. A lot of things, we didn't have a strong enough connection with our community. And this is important. I'm like saying, you know, and the old restaurant owner, I would tell him like, yo, if you want to get people in, give them something. No, he didn't want to give them nothing. So now, on the other hand, when we opened here, our food is 20% the price point of our competitors and what we wish to do. I undervalue my food because why? I need you to taste this first of all, and I'm incentivizing you. And
that's how
in
you
a
build
perfect world, in a perfect world, and I tell
Mm-hmm.
my guests this when they come in, and any guest that comes in and has a conversation with me, and they will testify to this. Yo, guys, Google Burley Arms or something and look at what people say. I give them stuff. I want them to try this. If we have a conversation and I go out to each table, I thank them for coming in because I do appreciate them. That's what kindness is as well. Appreciation. I appreciate everyone that lends me their time because that's all it is. I don't look at it as an exchange or a transactional interaction. I look at it as an exchange in time. Screw giving me your money. You'll get more money, but your time, how you get that back?
Yeah.
That's finite, yo.
But
You'll
Kareem,
always find more. Yes.
you've already moved on to the second part, which is communication.
Boy, one of the things that my mom gave me was the ability to communicate
Yes, she was excellent.
from a very, 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 not just with enthusiasm, but integrity and honesty. I can, and when people meet me, they say I come across as authentic. My energy is unique. Because there is no pretension in what I do, the way I speak, the way I communicate, especially if we're talking about something that I'm interested in. I genuinely love
feel
food.
your passion. We definitely
I have the
passion.
capacity to love, but that's what kindness is. So in order to be a good cook, because, be honest, a lot of people do not have that capacity to love.
Mm-hmm.
You know this, we're old enough to be aware of the fact that love is not a learned behavior.
Yes.
It's something that you either have the capacity to do. That's why they have the varying degrees of sociopathy or apathy and various like people who can disconnect themselves or disassociate themselves easily from anything that they were once connected to. Me, I can't do that. If I like ice cream, you can't take the spoon out of my hand. You have to cut my hand off. No, seriously, I have the ability to love things very intimately and deeply, and that is a fault, but it's also an asset because I love to cook and I love to feed people. And is there a bit of ego involved? Yeah. If I feed you, I don't want you to like it. I need you to love it, and that would be my downfall: needing people to love it. On one hand, it puts me in a position to always go above and beyond. If I give you something, and not just. I have guests that come to the restaurant all the time. They speak to me. They're like, "Oh, chef, we were here. This is our third time here." I'm like, "Your third time here?" And I'll be like, something, as a matter of fact. And it's an unwritten rule. I've had guests who have been to our restaurant and we've been open for 6 months, right? And they have been here 5 times, some of them on multiple guests. And on the 5th time, I'm like, "Yo, you are not paying for this meal, bro."
Nice.
Yeah, this one is on me. You've come 5 times. You didn't have to. And what's the exchange? What do I lose? The cost of the food? Screw that, yo. You are loyal to me, and I'm loyal to you. I appreciate loyalty. And that's the thing. I speak to people. I engage with people. I genuinely make sure that I can teach them something about the food. They ask me, "Oh, how do you make this?" I'll be like, "Yo, bro, I'll pull out my phone, access my Google Drive, search the recipe," because all of my recipes are available on my personal Google Drive, and I'll show it to them. I'm like, "Yo, take a picture of this," and I will give you the recipe. I will give you my recipes. You know why? Because even if I give you my recipe and the steps, you'll never make it right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you know this. You guys come from a family of excellent cooking, and you know no matter, even if I give you the recipe, you can't make it like me. Why? Because, and I think it's the little things. Well, maybe I just stir a little bit slower, or maybe I cut things a little bit smaller, or maybe ultimately, maybe I add salt at different stages. And cooking is so personal. Not just more experience. I have a deeper connection with the process than most do. My process, I have a very holistic approach to cooking. When a lot of people start cooking when they get in the kitchen, me, I start cooking when I wake up. Cooking is an extension of cooking is an extension of my thoughts. When I write a menu, I'm cooking it in my mind at the same time.
You're definitely an athletic cook. You're definitely.
Oh man, definitely, man. I think it through all the time. I think it through from the beginning to the end.
This is what Andy Roberts would have been if he decided
to cook.
To cook, right? Maybe. Or better yet. You can imagine if I actually decided to have played cricket. Man, that would have been because and I'll tell you something. My dad told me, and one of the things that I've gathered about my dad, because I do, as I got older, and I appreciated what my dad accomplished, because I did not necessarily appreciate what my dad accomplished as a kid, because it was almost like something hanging over me. It was too much. It was just too all encompassing. The appendage was just, intimidating, and I began to resent it. I resented it. I resented it.
Oh yeah.
As I got older, and I started to find my own way in life. And I wanted to, because one thing that you realize when you approach excellence for yourself is you seek out the advice of people who are excellent in their craft. Like at a certain point, you can learn how to be excellent from average people. It is what it is.
Yes,
you can learn things that can contribute to your development, but it's difficult to learn how to overcome certain plateaus unless someone has overcome similar plateaus, because the rewards on your effort and your time spent on trying to improve, that diminishes over time. Like when I was a rookie cooking after year 1 and year 2, every day I was learning something new. Now in year 15, oh man, I got to read deeper into the book. I got to try things a much levels deeper, and a lot of it is
the world has changed so much.
The access to information is infinite, but also the access to inspiration, because I still need to find inspiration. I still need to find that personal style that just resonates with me. There still needs to be something that makes me excited. And I'm not excited by anything monetary. I'm not excited by anything. Yeah, sure. I'll tell you one of the things. I chase accolades. I want an accolade. I want to be renowned. I want to be appreciated. But ultimately, what I want to do is cook the food that I dreamt about cooking 5-10 years ago. Because in a lot of ways, I cook the food that I dreamt about cooking back then. So I've accomplished that, but I still dream about cooking food that I have in my mind, things that I don't know how to materialize. I don't have the skill set. I have the vision, but I just don't have the ability. So the goalpost constantly moves. There's always a degree of improvement that I'm always pursuing. Whether or not that will work to my advantage or disadvantage, I don't know. But the thing is this, I'm always willing to share the results of my labor, and also I don't have a secret to what I do. My partner tells me all the time, oh, you tell people too much. People would call me and look for advice, and I tell them everything, And my girl's like, sometimes, you gotta keep some things to yourself. And I'm like, why? The more I give is the more I get. I don't know why, but for some reason, the more that I put out into the world, the universe balances it.
That's what the Bible says.
Be transparent and ethical,
I have nothing to hide, because even if I tell you everything that I do in a day to get the results that I get, you have to put that work in for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't just copy and paste. You can't 3D print results as yet. You have to put that labor in yourself. And that's it. You can give people everything you can give people everything except ability. You can't give people ability. Yep. That's something that you have to have in you or find within you. You have to dig so much. And I feel for people, one thing I have as well is that I feel stricken with survivor's guilt sometimes, because I have outgrown so many of my peers in this industry that I used to work with. So many of my former contemporaries contemporaries, colleagues, guys that I worked with 15 years ago, 10 years ago, even as recently as 5 years ago. And when I reach out to them, they're either in the same position or a worse position sometimes. And that bothers me so much, because it's like sometimes I feel like, yo, could I have helped them more in the past? Could I help them more? No. But I'm like, I need to help me. It's not selfish. Self-preservation is not selfish. It's essential. It's essential. But that's the thing that you have to understand. And when you start to ask yourself, how can you help people without it contradicting your development? How?
Yes.
And the only thing I can do is teach them and lead by example, man. Ultimately, that's the only thing I can really do. And what I would love, that is being kind. It is being kind. It is being kind. But I've been kind. And also, what about being kind to yourself? Y'all forget about that?
Absolutely.
We talk about world kindness month.
Absolutely.
That's the most important part.
And
Kareem, being kind to yourself.
Kareem,
Yes.
being kind to your current self and being kind
And
to
your future self. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yep.
Because
like when you were speaking earlier, Kareem, and you said, sometimes you have to get away and do your reading. I was going to say to you, something that someone said to me, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
Giving without really pouring into
You have to replenish. You have to replenish.
And that's being kind to yourself, because some of us who are overachievers, we so want to do well. We give, we go. And we don't take the time to be kind to ourselves. So it's really important. And I like what you said, David, not just this current self.
Not this self, but the one you're going to be 5 years from now. How do you, you can only get there if you begin to plan for it.
Yes.
Exactly, 1000%.
But Kareem, I'm telling you, my brother, because we're running out of time.
And we have
you are a phenomenal young man.
You are.
You have an amazing message. If there's anything we can do to help you, let me know. But I see you beyond, your passion. You need to bottle some of that.
Where's your cookbook? Where's your recipe book?
Yeah.
Well, it may not be something. So I got this here, right? It's being written, yo. I'm surrounded by books and knowledge. So I have it right here. I'll give y'all a preview, right?
Like a recipe for life.
So I have it. Well, there are those as well, man. Yo, if y'all believe me, I can't have this made up. I have that book here too, man. Just my thought journal. No. I'm a document.
There you go.
I got it all around me, man. I'm surrounded. I surround myself with information.
And you're doing the research and at least putting things together. You're on the right path. When at the right time, it will happen.
Yep.
I believe so.
The book is still being written. When people say, "Where is your book?" It's still being written.
Exactly. And not only that, what happens? So people say, and the common saying is, there's no such thing as luck. Luck is when opportunity meets preparation.
Absolutely.
Whenever that opportunity comes to me, believe me, I'm prepared. I'm prepared for everything. I have
already.
Like I tell people all the time, you just have to give me the ball, yo. Just give me the ball. Just give me the ball. I'm willing to give me the ball, yo. Give me the ball, yo. That is all I have to do. Give me the ball. I'm going to do what I have to do.
No.
And I mean this. And I tell my younger chefs this all the time. I tell my younger chefs. I love that. I tell my younger chefs this all the time. When I give them responsibilities, right? It's not because I'm lazy, or it's because, you need this practice, not me. And you need this practice because one day I'm going to pass you the ball, and you need to hit that shot. So in order to make that shot, muscle memory, repetition. It's so much practice and deliberate practice as well. It's not just practice when you're paid. I tell these folks all the time.
Kareem,
and my dad,
you're an athlete.
Yeah, my dad told me this, and he and I agreed on this, because I told him, like, I did not become the chef that I am at work. I became the chef that I am at home. Because at work, I'm only as good as the people around me, because we're all in the same environment. To stand out, I had to do things outstanding.
Yes.
I need to write that one. That one going in the book right now, man. That one there going in the book right now. That one there going in the book right now. To stand out, I had to do things outstanding, yo.
So Kareem, when
yes,
you write
chat
book,
to me.
Right? When you
go ahead.
Definitely make sure you capitalize on a lot of cricketing jargon.
Maybe,
Because that
maybe,
will
but
make you stand out.
And it was selling in India.
Like you said,
well, here we go.
like you said, give me the ball. You
Yeah,
know,
that's a true. That's
you're a
a
fast
fact.
bowler. You're a fast bowler in the kitchen.
Yeah,
Oh man,
capitalize
hey,
on that.
whatever I am, it's not going to be defined by what I do, but what I leave behind. There's a
Yes.
greater message, and ultimately, my I don't. Yeah, sure, it's great for me to do things, but what I really want to do, and what I want to do, particularly for Antigua, is I want to inspire the younger generation of Antiguan cooks. Because not very long ago, I was that young Antiguan cook in love with what I do, and I did it at Cafe Napoleon in Redcliffe Key for some months before I went to Sandals, and
Cafe
I
what?
did it for Cafe Napoleon right there in the back of
Oh yeah,
Redcliffe Key.
yeah, yeah.
That's where I started out.
Of course, I know
That's where
Napoleon. I love that
that's
place. Yeah.
that's where I started
You all
out,
right,
right
place?
there making burgers and them things with Terry and Lisa. I started out there, and I didn't know, but the first thing I knew was that I loved it, man. I loved what I did. I
What year
loved
was
what I
this?
did.
What year were you working
This
there?
was 2007,
Wow, so
2008.
I was around then. Wow.
Quite possible, quite possible, quite
Yeah,
possible.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
very likely.
So
But I was just
Janet would come for lunch every day, huh?
every day she'd come to that window. And I'll tell you the funny thing, right? My mom thought that I was going to, she thought I would not last a week because she was like, yo, she sees how hard them chefs work and she didn't think I had it in me.
Wow.
But, and maybe she was right, because one of the things I always say is the only reason that I actually did so well as a chef was because I was naive enough to think it would have been easy. Had I known it would have been this hard, I would have probably done something else.
Yeah.
However, like I said, I am not any exceptional. I don't have a great work ethic. What I do is I enjoy cooking, and to me, cooking is not work. I can cook perpetually every day. I can cook all day long. I can cook all day long. Work, I can work for 15, 20 minutes, yo.
What
But
was
I
your
can cook.
grandmother's name?
My grandmother's name was Isabel Sheridan.
Okay.
Isabel Sheridan from Ireland, yo. But having said that, man, yo, like cooking has been in my blood from day one and generationally, and I don't know how to close it out other than saying, yo, maybe it is cricket in the kitchen for real.
It is.
Maybe that's what it really is.
It is.
Write down that
Maybe
too.
that's what
Yeah,
it
right.
really is,
It
yo.
is. At the end
We
of
got
the
to
day,
get
that's the
credit
end
for
of the book.
that.
That's how the book ends. At the end of
Maybe
the day,
this
I brought the
always
cricket into
is.
the kitchen.
Maybe I did. Maybe, and I didn't even. It was always right there in front of me,
You
man.
didn't want to
Wow.
be on the field. You brought the ball into the kitchen.
Into the kitchen.
Maybe I'm bowl plenty overs, yo.
I'm telling you.
Bowl.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. That's beautiful, guys.
So before we wrap up, let me go to the comments because the comments came in kind of fast and furious.
Oh wow! Let's hear these comments.
Yeah. We
Well,
have
this is a great discussion, Kareem. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Wonderversal says, I'm impressed by your agility. Thank you for sharing that impeccable leaders are kind. And that's so true. And Joan Richards Thomas says, that is so true. The more you give is the more you receive.
Indeed.
Yeah. And we were talking about different persons cooking. Althea Dyer says, I enjoy cooking myself. And I think everyone cooks differently. And as my father would say, everyone had no sweet.
That's a fact.
Thanks, Althea. Fanny King, hi Fanny, says, way to go, Chef Kareem. Great show. Surely was a great show. And Joan says, she says, the more you give is the more you receive. And she says, that is so true. I'm not quite sure what exactly that was, but there are so many truths here.
So many.
And Wonderversal says, thank you. I truly enjoyed this episode. Very inspiring.
Yeah, I feel like I went between the pavilion and the kitchen. Maybe I would, maybe we.
And then you went to Island Woman too.
Oh yeah.
Well, maybe Likkle Byte. There you go.
For sure. Some creativity, some fashion, some color, some spice.
Yeah. Well, before we went live, we were telling or was it when we went live? We mentioned that you're a celebrity chef, and you're like, I don't really want to have that. I'm not yet a celebrity. You better hold on to that because you are a celebrity.
But he was born into it. He may try to fight it. You know,
Most regular, maybe the most regular man I ever meet. No matter what kind, how the status change, we will have the same conversation. I will have the same ambition. Boy, there you go. How we could be how am I ever going to be a celebrity when this man is a United legend? We can't ever. I'd have to. Oh, ever. So what? And he, go on like, no, yeah, come on, man. We regular. The most regular human beings you'll ever meet. But that's the best way, and that's what I connect. Because I always say that's why I don't even want to consider myself a chef. Because when I say I'm a chef, I'm disconnected from you because you can't relate to what I am as a chef. However, when I say I'm a cook, everyone's a cook. So we have common ground, and I want to universally appeal to the most people as possible by isolating the common denominator amongst all of us, which is hunger and our appeal to food. Like I told you, as much as my food nice and everything, yo, I'll come sit down next to you and yo, if rice and chicken you have, just bring me little pepper sauce and I'll sit down and kick back and cool. And I would never criticize. I'm such an easy guy to feed as well. They're the most simple dude.
Yes. If you had an opportunity to cook for anyone, alive or dead, who would you like to cook for?
Either Barack Obama or Anthony Bourdain, and I'm making for them fungi and conchs. And when I say fungi, that's a very, very, very gross oversimplification because I'm not going to make fungi in the context we may think I'm going to make. Probably soft braised polenta, and I'm probably going to do the conch in puttanesca style.
Ooh. What does that mean?
What that is?
So puttanesca is a Mediterranean style of cooking, and it means okay, so puttanesca literally means in the style of the puta, which means the style of the prostitute. I didn't make the word up, guys. I didn't make the dish up. No, Jesus washed feet to all kind of people, right? So, however, it's just an Italian braise that has like capers, olives, and things like that, tomatoes, basil, thyme, oregano, and olive oil. And I think that having fungi and conch, because it's not, what I described was not very dissimilar to Creole sauce, which is the way that we normally do our curry. Not our curry, our saltfish. So we need saltfish, and I always preferred conch. Like,
and who's your favorite chef, aside from Bourdain? Who's your favorite
Aside from Bourdain, my favorite chef, Daniel Hum, but the greatest chef of all time is easily Gordon Ramsay. Oh, and I say that easily. Let me tell y'all why. And this is what people will say.
To go on his show?
I don't necessarily want to go on his show. Me done with them thing. They for dance in front of chefs and them thing and compete for them. Maybe he'll come on mine one day. Maybe Gordon Ramsay will come on my show. Why Gordon Ramsay can't come on my show?
Tell us about the British menu show that you went on. Tell us about your experience.
Okay, so and I'll keep it short and sweet.
Tell us, yeah.
So Great British Menu is a competition here where you don't necessarily enroll, you're selected, and they pick the best 4 chefs that they can find to represent the region. I was chosen to represent East Anglia, which encompasses Cambridge, Central Region. Cambridge, you had like Cambridge, you had like the Midlands, you had Norfolk and them places, and it was a tough competition because I'm up against some of the best chefs in the country. And like I said, the minimum pedigree is that you have to be at least exclusively fine dining chefs. So you couldn't just go on there with like a home recipe or nothing like that. And the selection process is quite specific. So you need to actually have a certain kind of a modern and progressive appeal and approach to food. And I think I did all right. Yeah, I went home a little bit earlier than I would have liked. However, I composed myself beautifully. I didn't feel threatened or anything. I didn't feel like I was out of my depth at all. And maybe I'll go back one day. But for now, I'm kind of done with competing on TV, if I'm being honest with you. Not done with it. I just feel like I can bring so much more to that stratosphere than just being a competitor or a contestant. I want to be on the other side of the table. Let me judge you all, yo. Let me walk around with my hand in my pocket and my face straight and screw up. Well, not necessarily my own show, but oh man, I'm tired of being performative in those regards. I think that I can actually contribute more, and I don't want to. And I believe that I have a lot to offer in any capacity through any medium, be that on the page or on the screen. I don't want to just be a one-trick pony who can only go on and have to do like a demonstrative cooking. Like ultimately, when you talk about it, I think that I want to be an educator and a communicator in the field of gastronomy primarily, but I want to show the commonality.
He's
You guys,
going to umpire on us now.
no, maybe I can call the game. Maybe I can call the game differently. I want to be a custodian of the culture. I want to translate that.
He wants to be an umpire. He wants to be Clive Lloyd.
I want to be everything. Steve Buckner, Dickie Bird. I want to be everything. I have great ambitions, but one thing I do have to be, the prerequisite for me is excellence, because unfortunately, the truth is this: being a West Indian or someone from the Caribbean, a small island, and an immigrant here, I'm not from England, I moved up here, and this is where I have to compete. I can't just be as good as my peers. I have to be visibly better. It is just what it is. I can't be as good as these guys. I'm judged by a different criteria, and that's fine. I am very okay with that. I'm totally fine with outperforming. Like I said, I didn't plan on being regular anyway. With
a role model, with a role model.
Our role models, mom and dad.
Yeah,
there we go.
Parents like yours.
Yeah.
But more importantly than that, nobody's gonna give me anything. I don't want nobody to give me anything. We ain't taking no handouts out here. If I get something because I earned it, it's because I earned it, yo. I don't want no sympathy votes, none of that. No participation trophies. Keep that, yo. We're only going for the gold. And that's it. Like, yo, if there's a higher trophy than gold, maybe a platinum trophy, give me that. I'll work for that. But no, thanks for being here. We don't want that, yo. No, losing dignity. Screw that, man. No being humble in defeat. Not in my DNA.
I'm here trying to remember a calypso with Andy Roberts, but I can't think of it.
Bold and fruity.
Bold and fruity. Yes.
Oh boy, here we go.
Kareem. Bold
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much.
This has been an amazing discussion, Kareem. We love you. We love your energy. Look who's calling. Grandma Miri. Hold on one second.
Let me pull up Grandma Miri for me, y'all.
Ask her. Grandma Miri. Log on now, please. We're getting ready to log off. Kareem is on. Log on for a minute, please. ASAP. She said she forgot.
Oh, don't worry about nothing. Grandma Mary's still busy and active, yo.
She had a full morning, so I guess she's.
That's all good.
I'm sure she took an afternoon nap. Yeah, but but Kareem, you are amazing. I mean, I'm looking to hear great things from you. If you ever want to tap into any creativity, development, we're here.
Absolutely. I like the fact that we have this network that we're building, and we're building a relationship that can be
I mean, the sky is the limit with you. I mean, your canvas. Well, let me switch back to cricket. I mean, the pitch is wide open, Kareem.
There we go. We're getting literary here, man.
Because I see a book that ties in.
Yes, too.
Several books. But I see a book that really ties in your legacy, your heritage, hereditary traits. You know, we deal with it too. You can't deny who you are.
No, you can't. So, the more you run from it, the more it chases you, right?
I'm telling you. And I mean, your life kind of, when you get to a certain stage in life, you begin to audit some of the skills and some of the traits that you have. And it's time to, you can't live down who you are. You're Andy's sons. So you just have to, that is the makeup of who you are.
Yes, absolutely.
Just find a way to leverage it.
Yeah. It is, and I will. I have absolute. I'm very patient, and like I said, man, I'm going nowhere as far as.
That's good.
I should be a keynote speaker.
Keynote speaker.
I see that.
If I hear of any speaking opportunities for young people,
put me forth, man. Put me forth, especially.
You definitely will. In an international kind of setting. Really speaking to, college kids, young entrepreneurs. You have a story to tell. And you have a passion and drive and a vision that I
like I
think
say, guys, I still have just a couple more hurdles to overcome, and I will be so qualified to lend my experience um, in a more communicative way, in a more articulated and concise manner. Because right now, like you said, the story is still being told, and sure, it will always be told. It will always be.
Absolutely.
It will always. It's continually being written and ever changing and fluid and dynamically ever progressing. But there are a couple of definitive goals that I feel as if they're at the like just outside arm's length for me.
Getting there.
A bit outside. Yeah, and I have absolute.
In the
I have faith
boundary.
in myself. Yeah, within the boundary, I have faith in myself. I have faith in myself and my ability to accomplish, man. I have absolute faith in myself and my
From the
ability.
slips to the boundary, okay?
Yeah, like I said, the only thing I need is a little bit more time. The only thing I need is a little.
Actually, like cricket.
Yeah, I have a strong appreciation for cricket. I used to love cricket, man. I used to love cricket. Cricket is a great game. It's a pastime. The discipline associated with it, I think it's very, very the skill set. Like, and I looked at it from the two sides as the reaction time and the focus required to be an elite batsman, the reflexes, the coordination, the hand-eye coordination. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then to be a fast bowler. It's a battle.
Yep.
It's a battle, man.
Kareem,
so we have to wrap this up, Reed.
Yeah, I know.
Time is,
I was waiting for mommy to come
Listen,
back.
tell Grandma Miri I love her bad, and one day link me and Grandma Miri up. Okay, one day link me and Grandma Miri up. Thank you guys so much for having me, and I love you guys. Yes.
I want to see some. I want to see some platters in the shape of a cricket bat.
Oh boy, you're a joke, man. Okay, little more, yo. Thank you guys so much. Take care, okay?
All right, take care.
Bye. Thank you guys so much, man. Thank you guys.
Bye, everyone.